Hey, come see us on tour. We're going to be in Los Angeles, Columbus, Ohio, Dayton, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Lexington, Kentucky, Burbank, California, and Honolulu. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.
Inside the event, Rudy Giuliani, who, again, this guy should be nowhere near a camera. If you are the Trump campaign, this guy should be nowhere near a microphone. They put him on here. Michael Tracy, shocked that the supposed Nazi rally at Madison Square Garden would turn out to be a rabidly pro-Israel rally. So this is a really interesting piece of video. Giuliani, his psychotic, bigoted, warmongering self, just an absolutely psychotically pro-Israel speech. I want you to listen to the speech, but I also want you to look over his shoulder. This speaks to what we were talking about a little bit earlier on the live stream. The MAGA rank and file are not really into this Israel shit. They really aren't. And so I want you to observe both what he says and the reaction, because I think they are both significant.
September 11 was our darkest hour. October 7 was Israel's darkest hour. They are our best friend. I worked for Ronald Reagan for 8 years. Ronald Reagan said, we have to be there for Israel always because they are always there for us.
Not to nitpick, when have they been there for us? What have we really gotten out of this arrangement? When has Israel shown up for us? I don't know. I'm not a professional historian,
we used them as a tool to destabilize the Middle East.
Ah, that's right.
That's what they do for us. They destabilize the Middle East.
That's right.
Hamas is not there for us. Iran is not there for us. They want to kill us. And the Palestinians are taught to kill us at 2 years old. They won't let a Palestinian in Jordan. They won't let a Palestinian in Egypt. And Harris wants to bring them to you.
Pause this once again. I just want you to understand why he, and Rudy is not alone in talking like this. You hear a lot of very committed Zionists talk like this about how the Palestinians are taught to hate Israelis and Jews from 2 years old. The reason they say that, the reason they use that talking point that they're taught to hate from 2 years old, they want to normalize the murder of Palestinian children.
Right.
That is why they say that. They want to normalize, I will repeat that. They
Their
want to normalize
combatants.
the murder of Palestinian children. They want you to think that they are enemies essentially from birth, and therefore fair game. That's why they say that.
Well, and it's in the spirit of every accusation is a confession. There are chilling videos of Israeli children being taught to fight Arabs.
Yes, well, yes, absolutely.
They may have good people. I'm sorry, I don't take a risk with people that are taught to kill Americans at 2. I'm on the side of Israel. You're on the side of Israel.
Are they?
Donald Trump's on the side of Israel.
Look at that. See, okay, so now I want you to look behind his shoulder when he says that. We're on the side of Israel. Really trying hard for a big applause line there. Doesn't seem to get it from what I could see on the camera.
I'm on the side of Israel. You're on the side of Israel. Donald Trump's on the side of Israel. And they're on the side of the terrorists.
Not a big reaction to that. There is a disconnect, generally speaking, I think, between goons and monsters like Rudy Giuliani and the MAGA base. And this is why I said in the last segment, I'll say it again because it bears repeating. If you are a Trump supporter who is opposed and appalled by what is happening in Gaza right now, it falls to you to speak out about it, not to make excuses for it. It really does. It really does. I cannot stress that point sufficiently. It is in your hands. We know Trump is very susceptible to people around him. We know what matters most to Trump is his ratings, his numbers. He likes to be liked. You got to make some noise about this. You have to communicate in the final days of his campaign that his support for this genocide is unacceptable if you plan on voting for Trump. I'm not voting for Trump because I don't trust him as far as I can throw him on this. But if you are, that's your choice. But if you feel that this has to stop, and you feel like he's the Hail Mary pass you have to throw, really the ball's in your court. It falls to you to act on this, because as you can see there, very, very little response from the crowd when he says you're for Israel. They're not really. And the rank and file, they're not. All the polling bears this out, by the way. Large majorities of swing state voters, not just swing state Democrats, large majority of swing state voters across party lines want an immediate ceasefire, and majorities of swing state voters across party lines think aid to Israel should be conditioned, if not cut off entirely. And so there's a major gulf between what the people in the suits and the ties under the bright lights say about this and what the people in the audience and watching at home think about this. And that has to become apparent to Donald Trump if you plan on voting for Donald Trump, which, like I said, I do not recommend. But, I cannot dictate to everybody what they do. But I can say that. I can challenge you in that way because clearly, the people are not for this.
Yeah, that has been my experience being around MAGA crowds. On a personal note, as a New Yorker, I was never a fan of Rudy Giuliani. No one who was a fan of civil liberties did. It's not surprising that he supports Israel because Giuliani's police force were the original rape the prisoner with an object police force, kind of known for sticking plungers up the asses of their charges, and Giuliani covering for them and defend them. However, Giuliani had at one time, and it's hard to imagine now because he's such a broken shell of a man, he had this Elliot Ness patina about him because he had prosecuted these mobsters. That was as U.S. attorney for the Southern District. That was how he rose to prominence. That was how he became mayor. He was popular in his first term. That's why he got a second term.
Yes.
New York, I remember riding down 6th Avenue in a cab with a British guy, and the potholes were so severe, the whole cab all the way up 6th Avenue was doing this. And he couldn't believe that this was America, much less the capital, the de facto capital city of the country. He said, what is this, the bloody fucking third world? He couldn't believe our roads were like this. And yeah, Giuliani came in, and faster than you would have thought it could be possible. The roads are getting fixed. The squeegee men, this was a very symbolic thing for him because when you stopped at lights by the bridges especially, you'd have these guys with like dirty sponges would start washing the windows and wanting money. He partly ran on that, and yeah, immediately no more squeegee men. Like a lot of these basic inconveniences of life that were part of New York, he very quickly got rid of them. The second term, he went crazy, and he was not popular. This is a very untold story of 9/11. I think his popularity rating in New York City on September 10th, 2001 was something like 32%. They hated him. They hated him because he starts going after food vendors and street artists and cracking down on museums. His full fat, once he ran out of things you would have wanted him to do, being fascist inclined, he just started going after everybody. I got a ticket under Giuliani for stepping out of a cab and walking onto the sidewalk to my front door with an open beer. And that was how it was. And it was particularly in that second term. There was a lot of it's illegal, so they can't admit it, but there was a lot of pressure on the cops to generate tickets. Of course, what are they going to do? They're going to break your balls for walking to your front door with a beer. But watching him now, it's like watching an old nemesis that you kind of have to feel bad for. I like, to see him like this. And I just don't understand why you'd want him representing you. He's an embarrassment. He's an embarrassment to himself, and he's an embarrassment to the campaign. Why would you put him up there?
Why would you? He should be nowhere near a microphone or a camera. Not in late October. Not in late October. Especially.
Giuliani.
You're at a moment right now where a misstep cannot necessarily be corrected in time. You lose a point in the polls in September, you make it back in a few weeks. You drop a point in late October, there's not time to make it up, you know?
Right.
And as we've seen, anything can happen here. Anything can happen here. You got fucking ballot boxes lighting on fire. You got, I mean, anything can happen. You don't want to make unforced errors in this stage of the campaign, especially since Trump had really turned it around the past month. He really has not been. He has not had any foot and mouth moments the last month.
The McDonald's thing, the Rogan thing, everything's been working.
Everything's been working, and now you got this. Look, I mean, do I think this is going to cost in the election? No, but you really don't want to be making unforced errors this late in the game. You really want to tighten up this late in the game, especially when your adversary cannot execute. I mean, she does not have the talents to actually overtake you on her own merits. She needs you to implode. And what made this a close race to begin with is that Trump missed a lot of opportunities over the summer to expand his lead. And, he straightened out just in time, and this was a slip. There's no spinning it any other way. You don't want your campaign team apologizing for the warm-up act the day after the rally. That means it's a slip. Right. So there you have it.
It was intended as a flex, and in some way it is, that you packed out Madison Square Garden, deep blue New York City.
Yep.
But in the end, that's not what people are talking about.
That's right.
Hey, come see us on tour. We're going to be in Los Angeles, Columbus, Ohio, Dayton, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Lexington, Kentucky, Burbank, California, and Honolulu. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.